Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a complex, intense, and often misunderstood chapter of modern history, the Syrian Civil War. This is a conflict that has deeply affected millions of people, reshaped the Middle East, and even changed how we view warfare, alliances, and international relations in the 21st century. Our goal is to break down how it began, the main factions involved, the global players, and the human impact. I'll take you through the origins, key events, and where we stand today in this ongoing crisis. To understand the Syrian Civil War, we need to start with the background. Syria has a long history of political tension. The country gained independence from French rule in 1946, and for decades it was marked by political upheaval and coups. Since 1971, the Assad family has ruled Syria, starting with Hafez al-Assad and later his son, Bashar al-Assad. Assad's rule has been authoritarian, with limited political freedom and significant repression. This environment of control and fear laid the groundwork for unrest that would eventually explode into civil war. In 2011, the Arabs spring a wave of pro-democracy protests across the Middle East and North Africa reached Syria. Initially, Syrians protested for more freedom, economic opportunities, and an end to government corruption. These protests were peaceful, and many hoped they'd bring reforms. But the Assad government responded with violence, arresting protesters, using tear gas, and eventually firing on demonstrators. This brutal crackdown sparked even more protests and deepened the divide between the government and its people. As the government's response escalated, so did the opposition. By mid-2011, groups began to arm themselves to defend against the Assad regime. Different factions emerged, and it quickly became a multifaceted conflict. One of the earliest groups was the Free Syrian Army, formed by defectors from Assad's military. Their goal was to overthrow Assad, but they soon fractured into various smaller groups with differing ideologies, goals, and support bases. Amid this chaos, extremist groups saw an opportunity. Al-Qaeda-affiliated groups and later ISIS moved in, exploiting the lack of stability. In 2014, ISIS took control of significant parts of Syria and Iraq, declaring a caliphate. This brought global attention and changed the war's dynamic. The Syrian opposition was now not only fighting Assad, but also extremist groups. And this introduced new complexities as foreign powers got more involved. The Syrian Civil War isn't just a conflict between Assad and the rebels. It's a battleground for regional and global powers. Iran and Russia support the Assad regime, providing weapons, money, and even soldiers. Iran sees Syria as an ally in the region, while Russia has strategic interests, including its naval base in Syria. On the other side, countries like the United States, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia supported various rebel groups at different points, hoping to weaken Assad and limit the influence of Iran and Russia. The US also led a coalition against ISIS, conducting airstrikes and training Kurdish forces, the Syrian Democratic Forces (SDF), who played a significant role in pushing ISIS out of Syria. Let's not forget the toll this conflict has taken on the Syrian people. Since 2011, over 500,000 people have been killed, and millions more have been displaced. Half of Syria's population, about 13 million, people have fled their homes, either seeking refuge abroad or internally displaced within Syria. Refugees have faced immense challenges, and the crisis has placed strains on neighboring countries like Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan, and even on Europe. The humanitarian cost of this war cannot be overstated. Cities like Aleppo and Raqqa have been devastated, and countless families have been torn apart by violence, poverty, and fear. While large-scale battles have decreased, the conflict is far from over. The Assad government controls most of Syria, but parts of the north are still under the control of Turkish-backed forces and Kurdish groups. Tensions between these factions and foreign powers remain high, and there's a constant risk of renewed fighting. The humanitarian needs are also enormous, with millions still requiring aid, and rebuilding efforts are extremely slow. With the economy in shambles, the Syrian Civil War is an ongoing tragedy, and its effects will be felt for generations. It serves as a cautionary tale of how authoritarianism, regional rivalries, and international intervention can fuel a crisis. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into complex topics. If you found this helpful, please share it. Let's spread awareness about Syria and all those affected by this conflict.